Hold up, I ain't trying to stump, man, but the Yeezys jumped over the jump, man. I be in and out of arenas like I'm Scottie Pippen.
Left my elbow in the pot, a la Vince Carter.
Bitch, you wasn't with me shooting in the gym?
James Harden with the range on me, nigga, way back.
Coach, they won't knock me off my pivot, get it.
Been flowing stupid since Vince Carter was on some through the legs arm and a hoop shit.
And you could live through anything if magic made it.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know, now you do.
Lovers Association, we are back. Round of applause for yourselves. This is your guy, Marcellus Ease, and we got a few things on the docket for today. Klay Thompson. Things are not looking up for Klay, man. I'm not going to lie. But the Golden State Warriors have a few conundrums on their hands as this dynasty continues to look for a lifeline to keep this thing going. But like many dynasties, at some point that life cycle has to come to an end. And speaking of the life cycles of dynasties, we'll take a look at the Oklahoma City Thunder as they begin to get out of that trust the process cycle. And are they willing to cash in on some of those draft picks to kind of polish this team up, perhaps get another big man? And the Lakers. I tell you what, we'll re-examine that 3-team trade that they made for D'Angelo Russell. Did they overlook getting Mike Conley? And finally, we'll hear from Lemon Pepper Lou on what really happened in that bubble with the Clippers. And also Pat Bev had a few rebuttals to what he said. So ever since last offseason when Klay Thompson was offered an extension by the Warriors for 2 years, $48 million, he rejected the offer and pretty much bet on himself. And so far this season has not really bared any fruits. First of all, he's averaging under 20 points per game for the first time since 2014. And because of Andrew Wiggins not quite showing up to the season in shape and his poor play, it kind of exposes Klay Thompson a lot more because the Warriors have to rely on a second scorer than ever before, because defensively, between Klay Thompson and Andrew Wiggins, the Warriors pretty much taking L's, man. And it's made Klay Thompson this season kind of look like a guy that's forcing shots. And not only that, teams are actually hunting for Klay as a mismatch, as a slower footed guard. But Klay was asked a few questions about his struggles this season, and he revealed quite an interesting conversation he had with Steve Kerr. You guys check it out.
Well, Steve and I had actually a great conversation yesterday, and that helped me relax a lot. Sometimes I forget just how successful and how lucky I've been to be a part of championship teams and all-star games and gold medals. And when you want to get back to that level so badly, you can kind of get in your own way. And rather than forcing it, we had a conversation about just enjoying this last chapter of my career and how lucky I truly am to still be playing this game and do it at a high level, and being a better mentor for these young guys, leading by example, and having my energy right every game. And he helped me realize when I do have negative energy, how that affects the team in a poor manner. So we had a great conversation. That just helped me change my whole mindset and forget about shooting splits or points per game or all-star games, and just to enjoy being in this Warriors uniform and appreciate what we built, because it's such a rare opportunity for any professional athlete to be a part of so much success, and to try and pass that torch to the younger guys and keep this thing going.
Now, two things here kind of stuck out with me. One, Klay Thompson having a negative effect on the younger guys. And Steve Kerr, he's kind of playing a juggling act right now, because he has guys like Kuminga making comments about his playing time. And some of these young pups, they're going to want to come up the ranks. We see Moses Moody at times play really well, but yet get pulled out of the game for Andrew Wiggins, who's really been one of the biggest disappointments this season. As a person who was the second best player in the NBA Finals, alongside Stephen Curry in 2021, it was not Klay, it was Andrew Wiggins. It's been a real disappointing season for him, especially not coming into the season in shape. But the Warriors for a while now have been struggling with the younger players. We've seen it with Wiseman, we've seen it with Kuminga, Moody kind of coming up the ranks now, and yet he's still getting his minutes pulled for Andrew Wiggins, who's been struggling. And this may have something to do with the Warriors. And when you look at the politics of the league, of course, the guys getting paid the big bucks got to get the minutes. But I'll also tie that into the Warriors evaluation. That $7 billion evaluation from the Golden State Warriors. That is amazing that they have a higher evaluation than most NFL franchises, except for the Dallas Cowboys. And their valuation is higher than the New York Yankees and New York Knicks, who have not only a built-in sports franchise, but they also have built-in media entities just for those franchises alone. And the Warriors do not even have anything near that. And before the 2010s, that franchise was not really relevant for about 20 years. So how all of a sudden they just jumped above all these franchises that have been making all this money and have all these media entities that have been well established for all these years. And it's pretty much tied with the Splash Brothers, mainly with Stephen Curry. But the Splash Brothers, if they're not splashing, I'm wondering how that franchise evaluation is really tied to those guys being there. Because once they don't have relevant players, I believe that franchise will sink down. But the Warriors having their new stadium, there's a lot of politics in play, because they can't just really operate in this arena with a bunch of new guys that they don't really know and walk away from the formula, which is the Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, Stephen Curry formula, which pretty much has made them their money and gained them the recognition that they have. And right now we're pretty much seeing the young pups on the Golden State Warriors kind of begin to hit their head against the wall and kind of bark back against the management as far as them not getting minutes. But a lot of things are kind of right now there's a lot of things kind of going against the Warriors with this new CBA coming up. And just looking at their salary for next season, they're going to be over that second apron, which will make it very hard for them to make trades. Even if they wanted to do a swap out and not pay Klay Thompson next season and perhaps make a trade for Jordan Poole, it's going to be very hard for them to do that, being about $17 million over the cap. Just them tying Andrew Wiggins to all those guaranteed years up until 2027 is coming back to bite them in the ass. And when you tie that into Steve Kerr kind of juggling the lineups, trying to have a situation where the older veterans kind of ride off into the sunset, while at the same time creating an entertaining enough product for the Golden State Warriors front office to keep up their valuations of having a $7 billion net worth franchise, and at the same time trying to please the young guys so they can stick around for the eventual rebuild, which is a normal part of basketball. This is the part of the whole dynasty life cycle. There's a building point, there's a few great years of having good times, and at some point there's a fall off period. And for the Warriors, once again, they're in a conundrum because their fall off period is with a brand new stadium in San Francisco, with a lot of TV money coming in and also international money coming in, while at the same time your core group is aging out. And unfortunate for Klay Thompson, with his injury history and having all those surgeries, it's coming back to bite him in the ass. The Warriors low-key got their life extended by an extra year in that 2021 season. Andrew Wiggins, the way he kind of played himself into that system, played really well. He gave him an extra, I would say, jolt of life. Him and Jordan Poole gave the Warriors kind of an extra shelf life that they really didn't have. But with this roster having a lot of players beginning to age out, especially with an old CP3 who probably won't last a season, they're just a little bit too slow-footed at times, and defensively they're way too small to stop a lot of these teams like Denver. And even the Lakers, with all the bad shooting that team has, just their size and length alone can bother the Warriors. So they're beginning to hit that point where they don't have a lot of room for mistakes, for some of the boneheaded turnovers they used to make. But we'll see if Steve Kerr can make adjustments for the roster he actually has. Not the system he wants to run, but just tailor his schematics for the players and skill sets that he actually has on his roster. So we'll see how this plays out. So the Oklahoma City Thunder have put on a masterclass on how to rebuild a franchise. And not only that, knowing how to draft well. I mean, we got to give them their credit. I've never seen a team draft back-to-back MVPs, as previously they drafted Kevin Durant, James Harden, and Russell Westbrook. But Sam Presti has put on a masterclass on how to rebuild this franchise. But now we're beginning to see OKC hit that phase of knowing when to come off that sort of Sam Hankey's trust the process system. And for the Philadelphia 76ers, when they were on the whole trust the process wave, the right time for them to get off the boat was when they had Jimmy Butler. They should have traded Ben Simmons right then and there. that's just playing Monday morning quarterback, that moment was the right time for that team to hop off that boat. Now, when it pertains to the OKC Thunder, we see them right now in prime position until they have to start paying guys in 2026. Some of those rookie scale contracts are up. Guys like Jalen Williams and Chet Holmgren will be looking for a payday. So right now, while they have this 2-year window, very similar to the Philadelphia 76ers, there was a sweet spot that they had. Will they trade the homegrown talent, players like Josh Giddey and others, to perhaps put a more solidified piece next to their core guys like SGA, Chet Holmgren, and someone who could fit alongside Jalen Williams? Or maybe Jalen Williams, that homegrown piece, is someone you might have to send away to get a more polished vet or even a polished big man, which is really what OKC really needs, a big man other than Chet, to kind of solidify this team and bring them up and push them towards that next phase as being that team that could compete year in, year out to make the Western Conference Finals and the NBA Finals. But OKC, right at this moment, they're 6th in offense, 2nd in defense, 1st in three-point shooting, and 2nd in mid-range shooting. I mean, oh, Jesus. You can't plan this any better than this. And when you look at their draft assets, 2024, they have 3 first-round picks and 1 second-round pick. In 2025, they have 4 first-round picks and 3 second-round picks. 2026, they have their own first round. Then in 2027, they have 3 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks. And then in 2028, they still have their own first-round pick, but they have 3 second-round picks. And in 2029, they still have 2 first-round picks and 6 second-round picks. Sheesh. I mean, you can even look at it. They were still getting draft picks. They were still able to acquire draft assets. Even when Kevin Porter Jr. got into that incident in New York and the Houston Rockets got rid of him, OKC was able to get into that mix and acquire another second-round draft pick. But that was at the very beginning of the season. And at some point, they're going to have to kind of get out of that phase of just acquiring a bunch of picks. And it's going to be very interesting to see how Sam Presti actually converts these picks, because you can't afford to pay all these guys, especially down at OKC. It's relatively a small market franchise. And we all know for sure they are not going to try to dip into that second apron and pay that tax. But this great position OKC is in is mainly from Chet Holmgren. I mean, this guy's shooting 40% from 3. I think he exceeded all expectations. Even defensively, before he even hits the weight room and fills up, he's kind of doing his thing, I'm not going to lie. And then SGA, of course, is looking like an MVP. He's been looking like that since last year. He finished, what, top 3? So at some point, OKC is going to have to hop off that trust the process train and not be like the Philadelphia 76ers and hold on to Ben Simmons way too long. So at that pivotal point, when they lost to the Raptors in the Eastern Conference Finals, the real move was to get rid of Ben Simmons and re-sign Jimmy Butler. But because sometimes a lot of the fan bases and franchises get caught up in homegrown talent, they hold on to that player a little bit too much when the obvious move is pretty much in front of their face. As we've seen Jimmy Butler leave Philadelphia and led the Miami Heat to 2 NBA Finals out of 3 seasons. So once again, it's knowing when to get off that trust the process train. And I understand sometimes it's very hard to let go of homegrown talent. But we've seen when teams do that, they actually reach up to another level. We've seen that with the Toronto Raptors when they let go of DeRozan, because the whole time they had a championship team. They just added Kawhi to that and they got to the promised land. And not only they got to the promised land, they made a historical playoff run. They beat Giannis, they beat the Sixers and the Warriors. That was a historical playoff run. But just getting back to the point, when teams move off of homegrown guys, just a franchise favorite or maybe the fan base favorite, like the Boston Celtics with Marcus Smart, when they got rid of him, now they can actually go up another level. And the other side to that coin is the mistake that the 76ers made when they held on to Ben Simmons and got rid of Jimmy Butler after they lost in the Eastern Conference Finals. And they did not get off that trust the process train. So tying this back into OKC, they have a lot of draft assets, way too much. And they have a lot of great homegrown guys. And I believe the first guy is going to be in the chopping block is Giddey. But who knows? They could throw a little mix together along with possibly Jalen Williams, even though that's a homegrown talent, and perhaps get a few more pieces that they can put around Chet and SGA or maybe it could be another player. But at the end of the day, they can't fall too much in love with homegrown talent, especially while they have this prime window until 2026, where they're going to have to start paying Chet Holmgren. They're going to have to start paying Jalen Williams. And when you tie those contracts with SGA, they're going to start hitting close to that luxury tax. And does OKC have the type of management in that franchise that's okay with that? So this is a very narrow window right now, a nice little sweet spot with plenty of assets, plenty of homegrown talent that's been well developed. And I would say Sam Presti once again is putting on a masterclass on how to rebuild a franchise. So last February, the Lakers, Jazz, T-Wolves participated in a 3-team trade that sent Mike Conley to the Timberwolves and D'Angelo Russell to the Lakers. And we're pretty much seeing the results of that in hindsight in 2024 as the Lakers continue to struggle and D'Angelo Russell is still not understanding his role within the Lakers framework, which is really to be that catch and shoot guy. The fit at times alongside with LeBron is questionable, especially defensively. Sometimes they relegate Russell right back to the bench to play alongside Austin Reeves. Then that doesn't work out. And at times Russell's being moved around because not only sometimes the fit doesn't work, the shooting is not consistent enough. And D'Angelo Russell actually spoke about it. And in a way, he kind of called out the coach on this. But again, the main takeaway from this is that fitting along LeBron James, especially if you're not in that catch and shoot role, is going to be very difficult for a lot of players. And sometimes it's beyond just the catch and shoot, just the overall fit. As we've seen, Russell Westbrook was almost phased out of the league while he was on the Lakers. But then just to go in the Clippers and to see him fit alongside not only two superstars in Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, but when they made the addition of James Harden, Westbrook was still able to fit within that team's framework. But D'Angelo Russell spoke about it, and you guys check it out.
I get into my flow state in the pick and roll when it comes to the game. So if I can tap into pick and rolls and recognize how they guard me, it allows me to control the game because I can get to what I know is working or might not work. It's like playing a game within the game, but I'm in my space. I ain't just catching and shooting. Now I'm in y'all space. If I miss, y'all took me out the game. Y'all just took me out the game. If I'm missing, if that's all I'm doing is catching and shooting. But if I'm getting to do what I know I can do, which honestly, I feel like that's when I'm at my best, when I just have a roller and a shooter. Somehow, some way around me, just a roller and a shooter. You put whatever.
Now I'm going to say this right here. D'Angelo Russell is mistaken when he thinks he could be in the exact position that he's talking about. The person that's going to be in that exact position is LeBron. LeBron needs the roller and the shooter. It's not necessarily going to be you. And that's why there's been a clash in that starting unit. And they went along with just starting almost 4 forwards and making LeBron play at point guard. But even the fit with Reeves and D'Angelo Russell off the bench has presented a clash because at times both players want to be the ball handler.
Everywhere else in the other two spots. I get into my flow state. I feel like that's when I'm at my best, when I just have a roller and a shooter. Somehow, some way around me, just a roller and a shooter. You put whatever else in the other two spots.
So again, the exact position he's talking about, LeBron is in that role. And he needs you to be the shooter. And he needs someone else to, the roller is possibly AD. But you're never going to be in that position when you're playing alongside LeBron James. So right now, we're pretty much midway through the season, and the Lakers being a 500 team, and just looking at the other side of the pond, the Minnesota Timberwolves are not only at the top of the Western Conference, but if you look at them on the court, they clearly have synergy. And that's just not with the two big men playing down low. That's also with the starting front court. That's also with the starting back court, and also the bench unit. And Naz Reid actually spoke about the importance of Mike Conley with this roster, as he gives them balance, and he's an important vet for them to have.
He's good. He's a leader. He's my OG. I call him my OG, and he's helped big time. He's shooting the ball very well. He's leading the team and conducting the team. He talks to us and makes sure that we're doing good on the off the court, so that's huge for all of us, especially for the young guys and the rookies and things of that nature.
Now, Nas Reed this season is fitting really well with the T-Wolves, especially playing alongside the other big men. As last season, he did have struggles at times with the fit, but the chemistry is looking on point, and it's not only with him, it's also looking on point with Towns and Gobert. And with Kaly this season, he plays about 25 minutes plus, and he gets his minutes with a combination of the starters and along with the bench. So the synergy that he's playing with guys like Alexander Walker, Shake Milton, Troy Brown Jr., and when you sprinkle him in there, with the starters, he alleviates a lot of pressure that Edwards would have as far as handling the rock. He gets him the ball while he's in his position, maybe isolation on the weak side. And this also applies to other younger players like Jaden McDaniels. They don't have to worry about handling the ball as much. And also Connolly's able to run an effective pick and roll with Gobert, that's something that they was already used to doing in Utah. So Mike Conley in his 18th season is bringing balance to the bench and starting unit. But when it comes to the Lakers and D'Angelo Russell, you see the opposite playing out. He's actually bringing a negative to the bench unit and the starters, as Austin Reeves does not only fit with him with that bench unit, which is pretty much the Lakers' spark off the bench, but the starters at times, just because the shooting is not consistent, they rather start LeBron at point guard and take D'Angelo Russell out and play Vanderbilt and just go along with that larger unit. So Rob Pelinka and the Lakers may look back at this trade and realize they got the wrong person, because Conley could definitely fit in a catch and shoot role or the person creating the offense alongside Austin Reeves in that Laker bench unit. Because with the lack of shooting on the Lakers bench and just the overall team, it almost nullifies D'Angelo Russell. As he said before in that soundbite, he wants to have a roller, at least two other shooters, so he can get into his bag. So back in the 2019-2020 season, the Clippers were viewed as a team most likely to win the NBA championship, and the ball was definitely rolling back then, but the pandemic happened and the season was put on pause, and by the time it restarted in the bubble, the Clippers were quite not the same team, as of course everyone was dealing with personal dynamics not only within the bubble, but within their own personal lives with their families and friends. And just looking back at that overall season, that was the Clippers' best chance of winning an NBA championship due to the fact that the seasons after, they were really never healthy, especially Kawhi and Paul George. And a lot of their core guys like Lou Williams, Harold, Pat Bev were actually sent packing after that season. But ironic enough, Lou Williams had sat down with Paul George and they spoke about it. But in this new era of media, any types of tricks and gimmicks are gonna have their cards pulled, as Pat Bev actually responded and called out Cap on Lou Williams' stories on why the Clippers were not successful in the bubble. But first, we're gonna go to the comments with Lou Williams. You guys check it out, and every once in a while, I'll check in.
Do you still truly feel that first year? Because we started rolling when it came March. We started to get that shit together. We figure out our system, who's doing what. Everybody just started to mesh. Boom, bubble. Then we just lost everything that we just gained.
When I tell you, we were rolling.
It's the best, no bullshit.
It's
the best
really
I felt about that team that year was that March.
Rolling. We was rolling. We was going into that second half of the season with a ton of confidence, we right where we supposed to be. Right where we supposed to be. Boom, it was like, all right, y'all stay at home a week. Then it was 2 weeks. Then it turned into 3 weeks. Then a month.
And all those weeks off really benefited the Lakers, especially LeBron James at his age, as he was one of the guys that was averaging one of the most minutes throughout the league. So more than likely, there was going to be a burnout period, but that pandemic caused a pause in the season that really benefited the Lakers.
Then we what's really going on? You know what I'm saying? And then the bubble thing came up and we fought it. I keep it real. We fought it. We did not want to go to that.
Yeah.
A lot of NBA players did not want to go to that. A lot of NBA players did not want to go, but the league had to satisfy their TV partners. ESPN was dying for content. They were dying for content, and Disney was not in a good position with ESPN, as they reported numerous times that they were losing money, and it was a mistake for them to get into that business with ESPN.
You know what I'm saying? And I just think we didn't have the personalities for that environment for the long run, man. And it just didn't go our way. I got into my thing. They even blamed me for us not winning the championship because of
The lemon
the
pepper
lemon
thing,
pepper
huh?
thing.
Oh my God.
Even though I missed 2 games and played in 10 after that, but I take it in stride. Listen, bro, you understand how crazy of a time that is? Don't that feel like a long time ago?
It does.
It does.
I feel like
that shit does.
It really does.
Beyond long time.
A lot has happened since that shit.
That shit feels like such a long time ago, bro. We were really living in a hotel.
Yeah,
dog.
facts.
I don't think people really understand how crazy that is, bro.
How long were you in there?
Bro, we was in there for about 2 months. About a month and a half, 2 months, wasn't it?
No,
maybe longer.
We were scratching 3, bro.
Yeah, maybe longer.
What was they feeding y'all before you got the good shit? What was they feeding y'all that you had to go get you the wings?
It was room service food.
Uh-huh.
So imagine just having the opportunity to eat a different item of room service every day. So you're going to go from a chicken sandwich to a burger to some chicken tenders and rotate.
Yeah, that's it.
In a way, Lou Williams is gassing it up right there. The NBA at that time, they partnered up with a lot of personal chefs and just overall kind of small business cooks that players actually had voted in. You know, people that were kind of well known throughout that kind of celebrity chef culture community that could really cook, and especially a lot of small minority restaurants. They were able to partner up with the league with the voting of the players, and they were able to prepare meals throughout the whole bubble experience. And this was well documented by the league. There was a lot of segments showing off these cooks, plugging in their Instagram handles, and really a lot of chefs got a lot of clout through that bubble as people were seeing the type of meals that they were preparing. And overall, it was a good thing that kind of came out of it. So them not being offered a variety of food, I don't know. Or who knows, that could be good propaganda by the league, but I highly doubt it.
You know what I'm saying?
And then what was funny, Kawhi's room was directly across from mine. And he used to cook.
Yeah. No. Everybody was in there cooking. Everybody had a stove top.
Kawhi cook?
Kawhi was in there. You could count on Kawhi with the Mexican food.
Hey, what he called it? Claw's Kitchen.
Claw's Kitchen was
Yo, Kawhi chefing it up. Okay.
Alarms going off.
Yeah, I was in there whipping personal pans, but he had it for everybody. He like, yo,
Claw's Kitchen.
Yeah, K was in there cooking. It's just
he was in there frying chicken,
bro.
That was the funniest
we
thing.
really should do a movie on the bubble, dog. It was.
That's a great idea.
It was a lot of aspects that you just couldn't even imagine, bro. So when I went home from that funeral to have an opportunity to eat some of my favorite food, I'm gonna do it. And mind you, I'm gonna do it.
No hesitation.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm gonna do it.
But what's crazy is the PR that I got, because the facts of the matter is I never got suspended and I never got fined.
Yeah.
And Silver told me on the phone, I don't think you did anything wrong, but I'm gonna make an example out of you.
Yeah. And never got COVID. The same damn
And never
time.
got COVID. And had a doctor traveling with me.
Yeah.
And so many details that was left out of the story because it just sounded good that it was Magic City.
Yeah.
And they felt like imaginations ran wild.
Their imaginations didn't run wild. Their TV partners were scared. That's exactly what it is. ESPN was complaining to the league. The players got to understand, the league had to fulfill that contract with their TV partners. They had to get a certain amount of games in order to get that money. And entities like ESPN was desperate for content. And if you don't believe me, go back and take a look at some of those first take episodes when the whole world was going through the pandemic. They had nothing to talk about. So the NBA had major pressure from their TV partners to get them some type of content. And if the NBA wanted to cash in with that large sum of money that they were owed, they're going to have to fulfill a certain amount of games. And there was a clause between the NBA and their TV partners that if some type of pandemic did happen, that there was still a certain amount of games to fill, and there was going to be a payout if that threshold was filled. So a lot of money was at play here. That's why it was such a big deal when the players tried to walk out during that George Floyd incident. You had big wigs like Michael Jordan that flew down to the bubble. President Obama talking to the players. There was major money at stake. The players had to complete that bubble, not only for the league to actually collect their money, but ESPN and Disney had a lot of money riding on that NBA content being on while everybody was at home.
He was in there partying, this and that. Mind you, I don't want to die.
Yeah.
Like, what are we talking about? I'm scared too.
You gotta open
like,
up
I
a
ain't out
chicken
here.
wing
Yeah, I
spot
ain't
now,
out here
man.
wild.
Yeah.
No, we having the seasonings. Everybody got chickens.
So you
but
have
you
a
need
seat.
to
Come on.
We know.
Come on.
I remember
come
we
on.
was on the campus, and you was, locked or not
I was
locked
locked
up, but
up.
you was quarantined.
I was
You
locked up. I was
quarantined.
not free to do what I wanted to do.
Hey, we was roaming the yard, man. Make sure Lou was good. He come to the window. He'll open
Hey,
the
see Lou
door.
for a few
Yeah, I'm
days,
good,
like,
y'all. I'm
Listen,
straight.
bro,
I'm straight.
I really was in
just come check on you.
isolation. I could see everything happening, but it was like they was like 50 yards from me. Felt like I
We
was
gonna
in a
check
zoo.
on Lou real quick.
It felt like I was in a zoo because they walking up as close as they can. Like I'm in the window, like Forrest Gump. You ever heard Forrest Gump?
That's sick.
Yeah, we can talk.
Homies,
We can
man,
talk
y'all
about
go
it
check
now.
on
They
Lou.
was, yeah, they was.
He doing
We
straight.
can talk about it now. They was sneaking me good food. You know what I'm
Tell 'em all
saying?
the shit.
I
Tell 'em
kept a
everything.
bottle in my room. I had my studio equipment. We telling everything.
He good.
Yeah, my guys made sure I was straight.
I
You know
love
what
it.
I'm saying?
Oh, that's funny.
The bubble in itself is an episode. You should get like 4 guys that was in the bubble and do an episode.
Yeah. No, we should. We should. Just tell all.
So
What really
just tell
went down.
all, bro.
What really went down.
Once again, I think they're over exaggerating with the food. They act like they gave them chicken nuggets and fries. There was a variety of chefs. The NBA did multiple segments on this. I don't know if it was propaganda, but those people in there, they were working. They were working night and day to provide a lot of the players food.
Cooking
And
shit
what
is
didn't
funny.
go down?
Them folks told us we was gonna have access to a lake, bowling alley. They tried to charge us $21,000 to bowl.
Yeah.
What?
They gave us a tab for it.
Oh,
What bowling alley
that's
was
sick.
this?
The crazy thing, that was because everybody at that point was like, nah, I ain't doing no damn bubble. Fuck that. And then that was the last bit that they was like, all right, park gonna be open for
Them
y'all.
folks told
We'll
us
shut
we
it
was
down.
gonna have 27 miles of stuff to do.
Yeah.
So they was telling us the bubble was damn near a 30-mile bubble. It was not that. It was not a 30-mile bubble. So in our head, they talking about we're gonna be able to golf and be able to fish and be able to get on the boat. They
Yeah.
told us
Shit.
all of this shit. And it was capped. Boy, they capped us down good to get us in that boat.
They did. Once you was in there, boy, it was
Had
They
to have a
kept us
fishing
down good.
license.
Lou Williams is telling the truth right there. I remember that. They were acting like the players were going to have a whole resort to themselves, knowing damn well that it takes a lot of employees to open up and just run that park overall. And with the parks closed and not making enough money, it didn't even make sense to just open it up just for a few players. Once again, the league really had to kind of make this look good for the players to come along because they had to collect that money. That's what it's all about.
Nah, but you did. Like, it was just such a hassle to
do anything.
You had to like reserve shit days ahead. Like, you had to like, get your times. Like, it wasn't like you could just go and do, oh, you know what, today I feel like doing this. Nah, you had to like reserve that shit
I
days
feel
in
like-
in
And pay
advance.
for it? That's
Because you gotta
And
think,
pay for it.
Yeah, because you gotta think once they put us in the bubble, outside opened back up. So now Disney is basically like, well, y'all gotta, if y'all want to bowl, y'all gotta shut the bowling alley
Yeah.
down.
Right.
And also what started to happen is that, and also what began to happen is that the hotel the players were staying in, regular people that booked those type of luxury suites were beginning to check in. Disney was definitely opening up and they started collecting their money. So the players were kind of locked in to be in a specific place, but that place began to open to the outside public. Overall, the marketing for the league is really good with this bubble because they made it seem like the players were going to be exclusively locked up somewhere and they were going to be safe. And it ended up the hotel that they were staying in, by the time the finals and the mid rounds of the playoffs kind of came around, people started checking into those places.
Because then no one else could
Yeah, if y'all want to get
else.
on the lake, y'all got to shut the lake
Yeah.
down.
Wow.
And then remember the guys on the golf course, they found a way that it was a bar that was open to the outside, so they shut the golfing down.
Yeah.
Wow.
Couldn't even do that shit no
Yeah,
more.
you couldn't even do that. It had a lot of real aspects to it, man.
Yeah. I remember we went fishing one day, and it was me and a couple other of us, and everything was open. So we driving around. It's like a big ass dock, and it's a big boat attached to that dock, and I'm just looking like, man, these people having a good ass time at Disney. Like,
I got something to tell you after that. So you
and
know,
I'm depressed. Like,
bruh, do you
if
know?
I touch that dock, I'm in trouble right now.
Man, me and Pat Bev used to sit at the rooftop, and we just hear woo on the roller coasters and shit.
Which y'all was on?
Man, that shit was gut wrenching, dog. That shit sounded like such a good time, bro. It was gut wrenching. Every 30 seconds. That shit used to hurt,
Like,
bro.
shit,
I understand exactly what you're saying, Pete.
Yeah.
Because listen, you got to think different personalities. Everybody was doing the bubble different, bro.
Yeah, right.
Everybody was doing it different, bro. Like P was playing his game. Like he stayed locked in on his game.
Yeah.
We was trying to gamble as much as we could. Just keep our minds busy.
Yeah.
Everybody did it different. That is.
Man, yeah, it was bad times, man.
Look, that shit hurt your feelings just now
did,
thinking
man.
about it. That shit's
Now that you say that shit don't seem that far long ago, dog.
Yeah, that was a couple years ago, dog.
What did y'all like the most out of the bubble?
Nothing.
It was nothing.
Not
It
one
was.
thing.
I think we liked the first week of it. We was like, yeah, this is all right.
Because it was a different experience.
It
We
was
was
cool.
like, yeah, this
we
ain't
ain't got to
bad.
travel.
You guys went there excited.
Yeah,
like,
we ain't got
little
to
camp
travel. The
trip.
gym right here. Like, this
It
ain't
got dark
bad.
fast. It got dark fast, boy.
Yeah, I'm done with this shit.
Yeah, man.
So in this new age of media, Pat Bev actually responded to what Lou Williams said about the real reason why the Clippers failed in the bubble. You guys check it out, and every once in a while, I'll check in.
Lou Williams this week said that in the bubble,
He told the truth, America's truth.
What do you mean? What do you mean America's truth?
So he said the truth that was the obvious. That's not really the truth.
Like the consensus truth of what everybody's thinking.
Yeah.
Let me just set up for the people what he said. He said in the bubble, the Clippers got the perception that the championship wasn't going to be taken seriously. So the Clippers essentially took the foot off the gas and were like, hey, we don't even want to win a championship, which I have a hard time believing.
Yeah. I wanted to win a championship.
Yeah.
A
championship's a championship.
Yeah, I thought I was going to championship. But
Yeah.
there's other things that happened that maybe Lou didn't want to talk about.
Yeah.
Like we had 3 deaths that happened in the bubble. The anchor of our team. I think Trez, like his grandma passed. You talking about, rest in peace, her sweet soul, but you talking about, a lady that's raised them from the beginning. Where we from, grandmothers are mothers. You know what I'm saying? I had my brother, the guy I raised, lived with me in high school, he died by gun violence. You know what I'm saying? I think Lou had a mentor who also passed away. And it was like Trez, me, Lou. And we all had to leave the bubble. You know what I'm saying? But in order to come back in the bubble, we got to be quarantined for 10 days or 8 days or, depending on how long you were gone. So now you're talking about getting ready for the playoffs, but we can't work out. We just literally in the room 10 days straight. Like that's not, I don't give a fuck how much treadmill you do. You can't go from 10 days play on the basketball in the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? So like, there was a lot more stuff that happened within our team. You know what I'm saying? But he was just, we had a lot going on in the bubble. You know what I'm saying?
So, but what he
on.
was saying, I think, is coming under even more scrutiny.
Nah, but he was saying, he was saying, because maybe he didn't want to say what the obvious was. You know what I'm saying?
What the actual situation is with the people who had passed and the personal turmoil everybody was going through.
And then coming back, feel me? And then they made a big thing when Lou left, because Lou, you know what I'm saying? They call, Lemon Pepper Lou, he at Jack Harlow, he get caught pitcher, picking up food.
Right.
He get caught with a pitcher. So instead of 10 days, they get Lou 15 days in bubble. See, these are things that people don't understand. You know what I'm saying? In order to get back in the bubble, we had to literally sit in a hotel room 8 to 10 days. No running. You put a bike in there, but you literally leaving the bubble to get ready. We can't even practice with the team. We can't
put
shoot.
a bike in your hotel room?
Yeah, we can't shoot. We can't leave the room. For food, we have to crack the door. We can't leave the room.
Yeah, and that right there didn't make any sense. A lot of stars went through protocols. Sometimes a player would have symptoms and they would just go through the protocol, or maybe they had a family emergency, they would have to go through protocols. Or even if they got COVID and they allowed to come back in, going through protocols, it doesn't even make basketball sense because you're just sitting there, but yet you're the star of the team. You got to come back and play at a certain level. I start to see why Lou Williams, Paul George, and other players didn't really take it serious, because real NBA season or just gameplay doesn't take place like this. Your star can't just sit in the room for 2 weeks, come back, and be in the second round or just be in the first round. It doesn't make any sense.
Like body squats?
I mean, you would do like a body workout. You have some weights in there, but that still don't. You can't run. Like, what do you mean? We're athletes. We run.
Right.
So no matter how many weights you do, like, you can't run. So we're literally in a hotel room for 8 to 10 days. Each
You were
one
imprisoned.
of us. I mean, I ain't not prison. We was,
No, you were imprisoned.
I know what you mean, but
in prison,
I can't.
but you were imprisoned.
Yeah. So, coming out of that, the anchor of your team. You talking about the 6th man of the year, the heart and soul of me on your team, the 6th man of the year before. Like, I don't think it was we were in our best element. Like, but man, that was an experience. You got to think we got tested every single day. You know what I'm saying?
It was such a weird time.
Yeah, and it was weird for everybody, and people.
And it was a weird time because the testing was not as widely available yet, but yet the NBA had so much access to it. It shows you the amount of money and resources and connections that went on to make sure that this bubble happened. That's why Silver had to make an example out of Lou Williams when he steered away from the nest. He said, hey, we're trying to make money and make sure that this goes on, but yet you're steering away from the nest and you're actually putting us at risk of just infecting everyone else and mess up this infrastructure we built to guarantee that we get this money.
Actually, like, lost lives and lost loved ones because of it. So, like, who am I to be,
Of course, it's a serious thing.
Yeah, it's a serious thing. So I understand, but just looking back on it now, like, it was a situation that the world wasn't used to.
Yeah, it was very different, but those were just comments that I think moved the needle a lot.
Yeah. I mean, but, maybe he didn't want to tell us, the truth. Feel me? Like, maybe he just wanted to, feel me? Whatever.
But you fellas definitely check out the mailbag below. Leave me any questions. I'll feature as a segment on the show. And until next time, you fellas stay safe. Peace.